I think any woman's road is easier if she's beautiful. The way I look has helped me in my life, but even my beauty doesn't change that I'm Black.
The most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman.
What I love about the Miss Black America pageant is it creates a space for us to continue to celebrate Black beauty unapologetically.
I wanted to be a part of the Miss Black America pageant. I needed to feel as though I mattered and my voice mattered.
Little white kids would always comment on your hair. Oh, it's so big. You look like a lion. You know, like you look like an animal. No one else says that to anybody else.
In the realm of beauty, Black has to be minimized.
People tell me, all right, when you gonna straighten your hair? Your hair, your hair, your hair.
When you don't love yourself, you don't love anything.
There are only 3 models for what a Black woman can be. Somebody's caretaker or maid, this over-sexualized video girl, or they're the angry Black woman.
We're more than that.
In a global world, we are moving towards a very different mixed ideal.
What's considered ghetto is now popular.
The history of race is such a painful one that then to just be like, I like the way this looks. It's so dismissive.
So you are watching Caribbean Vibrations TV, coming to you from our studio in downtown Toronto. And right now we are sitting down with a film and TV powerhouse, Jennifer Holness. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I mean, the sun is shining. It's good. It's good.
Now, our community does not understand how many things you've been doing. You've been involved in the industry as a producer for the last 20 years. You know, you've done Speakers for the Dead, Stateless, Home Again. Oh my gosh, Shoot the Messenger, and a lot more. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to sit down and talk to you. But you're known as a producer, but we're here to talk to you about your documentary feature film as a director, Subjects of Desire. Please tell us about that project.
Yes, okay. Well, you know, Subjects of Desire is a feature documentary, and I actually directed my very first documentary like 18 years ago, and I co-directed it with Sudz. And then I didn't do any documentary films as a director for the intervening years. And so, you know, my life partner is Sudz. We have a company together. We got 3 kids together. And one day, I think when my oldest was about 15, she was chatting with her friends. She has a couple of friends over, and she was going to an academic school. Both of my older kids were going to academic schools. And so that really, unfortunately, meant that they didn't have a lot of Black kids in the schools. And so they had, the white friends were over, and the white friends were talking about, oh, how, you know, their full lips were so gorgeous, and, you know, oh, she's so lucky to have a booty. And I just was fascinated, because when I was growing up, like, these were not things. Those were not the adjectives that were being used. And I'm a very curious person. I think my trajectory as a filmmaker has been, my curiosity has driven me. And I was like, what is this about? And then I started looking into stuff, and, you know, I wasn't paying attention to it, but then I realized there's a whole conversation happening around appropriation. And then the last piece was, so this idea percolated in my head. And then I watched The 13th, which is Ava DuVernay's film about the prison industrial complex. And I had seen a lot of films about the incarceration of Black men, but I'd never seen one that had this complete narrative that gave me a full understanding of what was going on. And I knew at that moment that this is how I wanted to tell the story of Black women and beauty. And the fact that beauty is power. And while males seek power in the boardroom economically, for women, the power of beauty is intricately combined with who we are. And so if Black women historically have not been categorized by the mainstream media as beautiful, that means that Black women have not really maintained a level of power that protects us. And so for me, in understanding that, I felt very strongly in wanting to get back into the director's chair and tell this story.
Now the film, it's at Hot Docs. Do you have any plans for it to do anything after that?
We literally finished the film. I should tell you this. We finished the film. Okay, I finished the rough cut. No, sorry, not rough cut. I locked picture December 18th. So we were just too late for Sundance. And we got into South by Southwest based on a, I guess, a fine cut, which is incredible. And it was a great launch of the film. In addition to getting some offers for the film, we got great reviews of Variety, Ebert. I mean, we must have gotten, 12 or 14 reviews, and all of them really fantastic. And so that was a really great way to launch the film. And now we're at Hot Docs, and my hometown. And I'm really hoping that Black folks will come out. We have a problem in our community that we talk a lot about the hardships we face, which is true, and we do, but we don't do enough to support. So I'm really thrilled about it. What my goal is, though, is to spend the next 6 months to 8 months doing festivals, and then have the film come out on television. You can be able to see it on TVO in Toronto, and Crave at some point nationally, and then US sale pending, and that kind of a thing. So there's a lot that's happening for the film, to be totally honest. There's a lot of love behind the film. And even, to be honest, my first feature film, I'm getting a special presentation out of Hot Docs. They're asking me to do what they call a big ideas conversation and a master class. So I'm hoping folks will come out and support.
This concept of beauty was being applied to me, but I never believed I needed to look that way. To be beautiful, to be great, to be excellent.
This is what everybody comes to see anyway.
Let's keep embracing that beauty, because it's always been here and it ain't going away. 'Cause I am me, you are yours. I am black, I am beautiful.
This is what they kill for. You interested or not?
The shooter wants this phone.
Who fed you the information?
A homicide detective who's close to the investigation. Oh my God.
I'm only here for a minute. Enjoy your minute.
I really need this job. You're a deportee, aren't you? You can't hire a criminal.
I'm looking for Samuel St. Clair.
I've been looking for my son everywhere.
You got a beautiful smile. You love me, right? There are other ways to pay for things. Make an example time.
Now, you, like you said, Sudz, have been involved. And what that leads me to is my next question. There's been a lot happening since last year for us as Black people, for us as Black creators, filmmakers, people in social media, all these things since George Floyd. There's been a lot of things going on. I can safely say that you and I have had to deal with the industry and the industry and its preconceived notions of Black people, on Black talent, Black producers, Black directors, everything. Since George Floyd, you've seen a lot of, I would say, promises, things from the community asking and saying they're going to be better with the Black community. So there's a two-part question. One, what is the change you've seen in our industry since everything happened with George Floyd and the whole wave of Black Lives Matters? And two, do you think that's something that's here to stay?
Yeah. Well, God, George Floyd, I mean, there's been so many Black men and women murdered, at the hands of the police. And I don't use that word lightly, because I do think that's happened. And, Scott Worthley, who's a Toronto-based professor out of U of T criminology, did a study that came out maybe about 4 or 5 months ago that said Black people in Canada are 20 times more likely to be killed by the police than other ethnic groups than other groups in Canada, which is pretty freaking frightening when we're considered to be this multicultural harmony, nation of harmony for diversity. So George Floyd certainly, though, represented a moment, a reckoning in the entire globe where I think the pandemic resulted in us all sitting around, listening, paying attention. So what is the outcome of this in Canada? Well, before George Floyd, diversity in Canada did not actually include a focus on Black people and people of color. It did not necessarily, it was expanding for the Indigenous community, and that community needs the absolute support of our system and filmmakers across the whole nation. So that was starting to happen, but nothing, it was like, I mean, we had, you know, when George Floyd was murdered originally, we had ministers come out and say that, you know, slavery didn't exist in Canada. I mean, it's insane. There are Black communities that go back and Black individuals since the 17th century, and nobody knows any of this. So what's happened since? Well, I think there's been a reckoning. I think that a lot of executives and a lot of people who hold power in the entertainment industry have said that they are going to be supporting, and they're understanding the systemic barriers, the racism, the anti-Black racism in our communities and in our industry. And as for myself, being at the forefront of a number of boards, the Black Screen Office, which I helped to create, and I'm the chair of the CMPA, which is I'm a board member, and that's the Producers Union. The CISF, which is a funding, a new organization that's dedicated to fund BIPOC, Black and people of color filmmakers, the Black Academy. So those are some of the organizations that have come up that I think are actually being respected and is wielding some sense of navigational power to what happens. The other part, though, what I've seen, well, during the pandemic, CMF recognized that the funds that they were giving out were not filtering down to the diverse communities. And so they did a special fund to BIPOC producers and creators. The fund was literally eaten up in one day. And then they did a second cycle of it. I mean, like, that to me happened because of George Floyd. That happened because of we were actually having a voice to say, you know what? The people who have always gotten the money were the people that were getting this COVID money. Mm-hmm. Subsequently, CMF has come out with a new People of Color Fund, $10 million. I see with the broadcaster, it's a little bit more difficult because things take time. I know Porter is coming out, but Porter was coming out before George Floyd. So, you know, I think that Telefilm, Krista Dickerson, I think she's an incredible human being, and I think that the federal government commitment to expanding Telefilm, doubling its money, but also with one of the focuses being on the diverse and BIPOC communities. I think that's a testament to the leadership of Krista in that space. Actually, we've dismantled the success industry, the success index, which is without a doubt one of the number one things that was keeping diverse people outside of feature filmmaking in this country. So yes, there are some significant things. Are they significant enough? Not yet, but I think we're on a path. And I think we have to be steadfast, and we have to be focused, and we have to bring people in and raise them up.
I love it. I love it. That's a lot to unpack, because I mean, like you said, there's so much going on. There's all these different communities you're involved with and everything like that. But I gotta say, I'm very proud of all the hard work that you guys have been doing. I mean, we've benefited from some of these things, and traditionally, us being an independent producer, we've not had that luxury. So, you know, we're also getting a seat at the table. People are coming to us. So, I mean, it is a great reckoning, like you said, and we're hoping that it will keep going. So I really want to thank you for your time. People can look for Subjects of Desire. You also guys have an Instagram page. We'll post that for everybody. But again, Jennifer, thank you so much for all the work you do behind the scenes. And now you're behind the camera and even in front of the scenes when you're talking to everybody and they're pushing for us. So again, thank you for all your time.